allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item is to approve the minutes of May 11th and May 18th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Tonight we're fortunate enough to have Greg Huntley here to talk about the foundation idea. Going to do a presentation to educators. We are well aware of the issues that are impacting our town and the area, 33 towns around us. So we're pretty excited about the concept of some possible solution. Craig, if you want, you can step up this way. If that's easier, give us a little description.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you. For those again who don't know me, my name is Craig Huntley. I am the owner of Valor Construction. And first and foremost, I want to thank John Perrier for having the foresight to reach out and actually ask if I'd be willing to bring the company in here and do a presentation. So thank you for that, sir. I appreciate it. And thank you for the board for having us tonight. I also have with me my architect, John McFarland. Our structural engineer, Bruce Perone, is out of Cromwell, couldn't make it tonight. So I want to thank the town engineer also, Dennis Milanovich, for being here. I spoke with him earlier. So we've got some good things. So let me just get in quickly. The company was formed roughly about a year ago. We do commercial, residential, and obviously we have basement solutions. So one of the things that is in my personal history is military and law enforcement. I retired a couple of years ago. So that wanting to help in community service is deep within my DNA, and it's absolutely been driving me nuts seeing people actually getting taken advantage of or having to spend their entire retirement once they've been in their house their entire life to fix their basement. Now, most people know that you can't have a solid business plan, you can't have a good house unless you've got a solid foundation. So what we've done is we've looked at a number of different things, and I think everybody's familiar with the cancer within the concrete itself is the peritite, which is a mineral that interacts with water, it expands, and then the structural integrity of the wall is degraded. Okay, so there's been a number of different things that we've looked at, but first and foremost, we bring discipline to the construction site, to your home, and security. So for the first thing that we would do as your company, if you hired us, is we walk into your basement with a structural engineer and an architect, and they do the blueprints, they do all of the specific code requirements that are required, and they take a look at everything, they draw it up, and then it's approved by, obviously, the town engineer or the building department. Part of our process and our plan is to take pictures before, during, and after. You'll get a copy of that with your packet. You'll also get a copy of the blueprints. They're certified by the engineer and my lovely architect over here, who's going to be addressing some of your questions, some of the pointing questions you may have. He'll probably address them for you. Okay? The other thing that we're looking to do is I have a history with working with different legislative people at the Capitol. Okay? Because I look at this as a multifaceted issue, and there is no just one problem that has to be solved here. There's many. So what we've done is we've built a team to kind of address this. So what I'd like to do, obviously with the homeowner's permission, is to reach out to your insurance agents and say, hey, this is the solution that we're coming up with. We've got something that normally would cost $150,000 to $175,000, and we're doing it for $70,000 to $80,000. What is your portion that you're willing to help at? And I think if we attack this problem together as a team, from our company, you as the customer, we get some of our political folks involved, and we do some lobbying at the Capitol and put some pressure on the insurance companies, we may have some success at this. So let me get into the nut and bolts of what we do. Like I said, first and foremost, let's say this is your basement. This is your bulkhead. Forget that there's windows here, okay? Just imagine this is concrete crumbling, cracks, fissures everywhere. So what John and Bruce are gonna do is they're gonna come in, they're gonna look at everything. And of course, there are some concerns. You know that you've got your water feeds coming in, your electrical and your sewer pipe going out. We address that, so we have certified plumbers and electricians who are on board for what we're doing. But what we do is we actually snap a chalk line about 2.5, maybe even 3 feet in some cases, from the original contaminated wall, okay? We then jackhammer out and we dig all the way down to the original footing. And then we take out a portion of that old footing. This is the old contaminated wall, right here. We actually jack out a portion of that footing. We then pour a 2.5 or 2 foot wide footing and a foot thick. We let that set with rebar in it. I'm gonna stick that real quick. I don't know if everybody can see that, okay? You want me to pass around, can you look at it?
Probably like to see
Yeah.
please.
There we go. Thank you. So what we do is we actually set up our rebar, you get your footing put in place, and then once that old wall is exposed all the way down to the footing that we've cut out, we then put on a solution that which completely encapsulates that substrate of that old concrete. And the reason being, and I think Dennis can back me up on this, that if water hits that peritite, and help me out here, Dennis, it's a wash, rinse, repeat.
It's my theory.
It's a theory, but I like it. And anybody that, I'm a Marine and a cop, so I'm security, overdo everything, safety, safety, safety. And so what I've done is, I said, okay, I've looked at every problem that they've had when the peritite expands. They've actually tried to do an inside pour earlier. When this first came out, they thought they could solve the problem. But in reality, what happens is when you do an inside pour, it's like putting something on a cooking sheet, and it just slides because it's not anchored in. We solved that problem by going down to the original footing, cutting it away, pouring the new footing with your vertical rebar is going all the way up. We then waterproofed everything. We let it set. All of our pictures are obviously being done at the same point. We then take what's called a closed cell waterproof polystyrene board. Did I say it right this time? No, what, say it more.
Polystyrene.
Polystyrene. There's a lot of things going on here. But that waterproofs and creates a barrier between your old wall and the new wall that we're getting ready to pour. Okay? So the next step is we take an ICF foam concrete block and we do a pour. The pour is about a foot thick. Okay? So now you've got a 2 foot footing, a foot thick with rebar all the way through. You've now created a thermocouple with inside your basement and waterproof the same thing. You've now got a foot thick ICF formed wall with, I'm using 4,000 PSI concrete. Okay. On top of that, I'm taking your vertical rebar and you put your horizontal in and you tie it off. We're using a number 4 rebar and we're going to do every 36 inches. And that's how we're going to tie it in. Once that sets, we then build what's called a short stud wall on top, which ties into your floor joists. It goes across.
Craig, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Can you just explain what the 4,000 PSI, how much of a difference that is as opposed to an old wall, and then how much thicker the newer wall is that you're building, just so that they can have...
For a matter of reference, thanks for bringing that up. Most concrete walls, when they're poured, are anywhere from 10 to 8 inches thick. Would that be correct?
Yeah, residential is typically 8 to 10, the majority being 10.
Okay.
What's the footings?
There's a rule of thumb, it's, if it's 8 inches wide, it's 4 inches on both sides. If it's 10 inches, then it's 5 on both sides. The depth of that footing is the same depth as the width of the concrete.
What is code? Is it different by every town, or is there a state code?
No, there's a state code, it's called the IRC, International Residential Code. All towns in Connecticut follow it. The width, it's a hard question to answer. It's based on soil conditions, it's based on the size of the house.
Who would make that decision?
Typically, I would, based on the code, soil conditions. But again, rules of thumb, residential structures are not big structures. They're very easy to figure out on a structural basis. And that's why these rules of thumbs typically apply. I think the question really on the table is they're typically 3,000 PSI concrete. Every day, that's what they are. We've taken it and bumped that up to 4,000. What does that do for you? It's 4,000 is stronger in compression, but it's also
Lower water content?
yes, exactly. Less water content, and it's less porous by nature.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
So, I mean, that's basically, and it doesn't require, Tomco doesn't require rebar either.
In a
After a
12-inch, in a 12-inch concrete wall, as we're suggesting here, there's no rebar required based on the IRC.
So, with that said, you now know that you've got your typical 10-inch, by the way, that wall is gonna stay there, okay? What we have found, and a good friend of mine, George Colley, everybody remember George Colley doing all the reporting on this? He's a good friend of mine, he's down in DC. We're gonna get together, I think in fact, today's his birthday. Anybody knows him, give him a call, wish him happy birthday. I've also reached out to Tim Heim. Is he here?
Thank you.
Is that you? Come on! Obviously, I haven't met him before. I've talked to him on the phone.
Don't mention Tim Heim anywhere you go.
Okay, well, thank you for coming here tonight. So, again, I've tried to reach out, and let me just, I say this all the time, I never am the smartest guy in the room, ever, okay? I know who you are, though. That's what I
Unless
want
you're
to know.
alone.
Unless I'm alone, and then it's still a battle, okay? My split personality, we won't go there. But I just thought it was really important to reach out to all the stakeholders. Obviously, the property owners right now are in a pickle. They're in between a rock and a hard place. And nobody's really come up with a solution, okay? And it takes people with political clout. It takes individuals that are getting ready to do the lobbying. It takes people to be able to do the job and the labor and not be afraid of hard sweat and work, which is exactly what we're gonna do. It's what America was built on, it's how we're gonna fix it. It takes people with a real good education and the structural engineering behind it to make sure that this is a legit thing, and then you need somebody to coordinate it. That's me, okay? So I think if we come together, our company has a solution for you. Now, we built the 70, 80,000 mark on this, and I just want to make sure that I absolutely make sure everybody understands. This is a 24 by 40 concrete wall, 8 feet high. So you got 24, 40, 40, 25, 8 feet high. Exposed concrete, no foreseen unknown anomalies or problems, okay? This isn't doing your slab that's in the basement. This isn't going outside doing the lolly columns that, the footings for your decks and the patios. So I just want to make sure everybody understands where we're going with this. Okay, it could be cheaper if it's a smaller house. We don't run into problems. It's going to be more if obviously we've doubled the square footage. Okay. So again, we're digging down to the old footing. We're taking a portion of the infected, for all intents and purposes, the cancer parasite out. We're pouring a 2-foot footing. We reinforce rebar inside your ICF block, which are interlocked and tied. Between that block and the wall, you've got say the word, polystyrene board, which is about 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches thick. But we can get it. We want to make sure that that's there. And we've waterproofed and environmentally cut out any earth gases from coming through because it encapsulates. The solution we actually put on the concrete, which is porous, was created, I knew this was going to happen, but it was my voice, chases the water molecule into the concrete as far as it will go. It's an absolute bizarre fix when you look at it. You say, you're going to waterproof my concrete, but you need to wet it first. Yes, because what happens is it soaks in, and that draws in the chemical and it seals, encapsulates your surface. Why is that important? Because normally when you put a solution onto a substrate, it's pretty thin and it doesn't anchor in. So any hydraulic pressure coming up through, osmotic pressure, just pops it right off. This fissures and anchors in. Now, the reason why we also use the foam, what's it called again?
Polystyrene?
And you've got the ICF Plexi, I get everybody involved. Again, I'm not the smartest guy, but if there is a tendency for that concrete wall to move because of the peritite in it, you've got a built-in pressure valve relief with that foam also. But with a 4,000 PSI concrete reinforced rebar with the 12-inch thickness, ain't going, okay? Also, we go on the outside of your house and we take at least a minimum of 6 inches away of the old concrete away from your house. So in case it was to lift or rise or expand, we can go and have a monitoring system, make sure that that's not going anywhere, okay, before it affects anything. I'm gonna lose my voice here in about 2 seconds because of the allergies. So here's kind of a quick wrap up on it. We've made your house economically sound again, and environmentally safe and friendly. We've now basically created what I call the Valor basement bunker system, because that thing's not moving. You could have a nuclear blast to go off in your pool outside, it's not gonna crack. I don't need the 4,000 PSI, we're doing it. I don't need the 12-inch thickness, I'm doing it. You don't need the rebar, we're doing it. I don't need to do the excessive waterproofing and the barriers. I think your conscience wants to see it, and that's why we're doing it. So, I'm gonna lose my voice. Any questions? Please ask this guy right here.
I was just going to ask, in the beginning you had said that you were going to take the case to the insurance companies.
Yes.
What do you bring as far as, I don't want to use the word power, but to change their minds? I know Tim has been working so hard to get the insurance companies to pony up a little bit, along with many of the legislators. What are you bringing that's going to
Change their mind.
Yeah, besides the price. I mean, is the price you think is gonna turn their...
What you need is leverage, that's what you're looking for.
Right.
So you need, what kind of piece of leverage can I bring to the table for these insurance companies?
Right. And what is that leverage?
My leverage is this. One, you can't do it by yourself, and I don't think one lobbying entity can do it either. I think, particularly with potential civil suits and litigation that's going to go on forever and ever, I think they're looking hard for a solution. So it's not that I'm pressuring them, I'm offering something that I think they may jump at.
And again, if it's going to be potentially a third of the price, maybe it's not so daunting for them to put a portion of that.
Right, let's just say the 24 by 40, say we do it for 75, let's pick a number in the middle, okay? And I go to the insurance company and everybody wants 100% pay. That's how you always start off negotiating. You want 50, you ask for 150 and work your way back. You may get 75, you're lucky you get 50, that's exactly what you want in the first place. So if they pay half, you've now basically financed 35,000, 37,000. I've got comments, it's not gonna work. It's just the third time today I've been on the phone. I started to cry, I mean, I'm bloody nose. So, anybody here know CPR? All right. So anyways, that's basically what we're looking at. The other thing too is, Valor is roughly a few months out from securing financing for our customers, okay? So we want to make sure that this is a one-stop shop, if you will. For example, the 70, 80,000, again, the 24 by 40, no unforeseen anomalies or problems that may come up. We're going to work with your insurance agent. Hopefully we can get a good deal for you. The other thing is, if we need to, we'll drop a pot off, or we'll drop a trailer off, and we'll store all your property for you. You can either move it yourself, I'm gonna keep walking because I'm gonna get a sip of water. And I'll be right back in. I apologize. Be right back.
Does everybody know what ICF is? No, right? Okay. They're blocks, and they're made of polystyrene. And effectively, if you know what a Lego is, think of a Lego, and we're filling it with concrete. We stack them up and fill them with concrete. As Craig has said, it's easy to stack these things up, and it gives you that thermal characteristic that all basements should have. They're approved by virtually all codes. It's a well-documented product that numerous homes have been built with.
So then the final step, if you will, let me go like this way. The final step, if you will, is we then give you a one-time tape mudded sheetrock finished interior. So that's what we've come up with, folks. It's not rocket science. It's a lot of hard work. I think that's why some companies have kind of veered away from it in the past.
Have you applied this to a home yet, or?
This system right here, we have not.
So it hasn't?
Have not yet, no.
Okay. Do you have a home that is willing to allow you to apply this?
I've got 2 right now that are potentially going to go under contract soon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But we also have a website that's in the middle of, coming up, so I mean, obviously there's a bunch of things. Tonight's experience, hopefully not videotaping my voice, but maybe some still shots. I mean, we are licensed and insured, we're registered here in town, Secretary of State, and we're federally registered as well. Okay, we have our DUNS number, and have the ability to work with, obviously, outside agencies, and we've, contracted with some commercial properties in Manchester, waterproofing roofs and some other things, so even though the office is right up the road here, most of my equipment, everything's over in Columbia and in Holland. And I actually have contracted with a construction company over in Munson, so we can jump the line and they can come here as well if we have major excavation work that needs to be done. Our purpose is to be as the most least intrusive in your life as possible. You're not gonna have to leave your house, at least not until we disconnect the water and the power and the sewer pipe. But if we're going to replace your entire foundation, you're out of there for a while. So you've also got the extra added cost of putting yourself up in either another apartment temporarily or a hotel room. And then you've got, the yard looks like, it's a combat zone. I'm not saying that those guys aren't doing good, hard work. I'm just saying we're offering a solution not to be able to do that for you. Now, the outside cut of that foundation, what we're doing, if you take a look at that picture, excuse me, is we take and we insulate everything, we rip down a pressure-treated plywood, like for all intents and purposes, like a fascia board up underneath. Prior to that, we put an R30 insulation in, and then what we do is we bend flashing, so it goes up already under the existing outside your siding, and then it bends back underneath. Then it's another angled, if you will, called bend, and then probably another 6 to 8 inches outside of your existing concrete contaminated wall, so nothing's going to get in there.
So are you patenting the system, and if it works as golden as it sounds it could be?
There is a patent pending.
There's a patent
Thank you very
pending.
much.
So supply and demand, would you be able to, there's a lot of homes affected.
Right. I mean, right now, we have,
Capacity to be able to be.
I've got 2 vice presidents in the company. One takes care of all my residential, the other one is all my commercial. The basement solutions right now, we may cross-pollinate and pull crews. It depends on how quickly this gets going. My initial sense is to have at least 2 full crews going all the time, and I believe I can do at least 4 basements a month, depending on that easy, angled, nothing crazy here. But it's once we get it going, I think it'll be we'll be moving quick. So what I did is I did bring some cards. I apologize. I did wash my hands before I came here today, so if you wanted to just pass some of these out.
I would like to see a PowerPoint at some point.
Yeah, absolutely, I can do that for you. Let's make sure you get it.
Yeah. I wanna- Thank you.
So our next step, obviously, is to keep moving forward on some of the other projects we already have out there. And then basically, we're gonna just start scheduling. If it gets to the point where we need to build out for 2 more crews, then so we will do so. What I'd like to see happen is to not have to sit here and defend a system that I know is going to work with a guy that has a pickup truck and a shovel and a pickaxe. To say, we're gonna do that Valor basement system for you. Well, first of all, knucklehead, it's the Valor basement bunker system, and you don't have the patent on it, so, and we're gonna make sure that, because we're licensed, we have the workman's comp. And we, like, once again, the peace of mind that we offer is to go in there with the professionals, an architect and a structural engineer. There's not many companies that do that.
Certainly would like, if you're allowed to bring pictures of the first one you do,
Sure.
to share with us and see, you know, what you went through and what the final, maybe the final cost was of the first 1 or 2, what you ran into, what you didn't run into, you know, what, I'd be really interested to hear about that. And, you know, I know a couple of folks that are right around the corner from me that have the same problem, and they've been asking me, you know, have you heard anything, is there anything going on? So I'd love to hear success stories so I can share it.
I will tell you that the first few houses that we do are gonna get a very good deal. I'm not gonna say what that deal is.
Sure, no,
Okay,
yeah,
because, you know, but,
that's business.
you know, they're also gonna be on the website as well, with testimonials, as long as everything goes well, and I'm pretty confident in the ability of the people that work in my company. They're professionals, they've been doing this for a long time. I myself have a history in law enforcement and military, but I have a master's degree in business and some other things, so that's my job. And they do their job very, very well. So within our company, we've got over 100 years of experience, some very good people. So, have any other questions?
How much is gonna be left out of the old foundation?
Everything except a little over 6 inches off the top all the way around.
And part of the
just a portion
footing.
of that footing that we're taking out. And in your basements, I mean, this is what we're doing, is we're bringing in a pumper truck with a 4-inch hose. This isn't a big massive, you know, so if we have to, the pumper truck can go all the way around the exterior of your house if we need to excess from the outside. If not, we'll get the hose into the basement and then pump from the inside, the one time before. Everything costs a little more that we're doing. We're not cutting anything here, we're not cutting any edges. I'm overboard on everything. It's like trying to do an ops plan when you get into to raid a house for, you know, a drug den. I want to make sure that this thing is absolutely bulletproof, that you folks are happy, and that we're meeting your concerns and your needs. That's why when I say we walk into your house with the professionals, we sit down with you, have a cup of coffee, and say, what would you like to see happen here? What are your timeframes? What are your concerns? So that's what we offer. We're kind of the company next door that, you know, you'd like to have work on your house.
How far out do you think your first installation will be?
I'm hoping this month.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that.
But I do think I'm probably gonna get up with Dennis again, and then also see if I can reach out to Ellington, folks in Ellington, and also in Talent. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, sure.
Anything else? Ask him a question, because he's.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Very good. That number, by the way, on the card is a 24/7 number. Somebody will always answer. It won't be me. Somebody will get a hold of you. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Next time I bring throat lozenges.
Next item on the agenda is appointments.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
These are ones on the advisory board.
Yep, and I have one additional one, Mary Rios for the Economic Development Commission, which you guys don't have.
Okay. So it's three These are 3 students representative, correct?
Yep.
And then, I'm sorry, the name of that person?
Marion Rios.
And she's gonna be on the EDC?
She's right behind Mary.
Hey! I didn't know your last name at all.
She's a real problem, but I guess we can make an exception for her.
Did Sal okay then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can I get a motion then to accept those 4 appointments?
We need to read, we need to read them.
You wanna read their names, their first names, sure?
So, Family Services Advisory Board, Malachi Campbell, Olivia Pease, and Connor Slater. And then to the Economic Development Commission, Marion Rios. Rios, sorry.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. There you go, congratulations.
Thank
Be
you.
careful what you wish for.
Well, I just said thank.
Only kidding, that's a good group. We appreciate it. I know you're very involved, and you've been helping with the Summerfest and other things, so we look forward to you helping that group as well.
And that's really what it's all about, is people who want to get involved and then actually do.
I'm used to here all the time anyway, so.
Exactly.
why not?
Well, there you go. We have one transfer, couple transfers.
Just
So
the
we're
one.
on
Two on.
Can we read that?
2 on that?
The same.
Family
the same-
services?
Yeah. Family services.
Johnny P., you wanna read that?
Sure. May 31st, 2017, it said, I'm requesting a transfer from line item 515-6100 in the amount of $450 to line item 515-3501. Also requesting $306.25 from line item 515-5100 to line item 515-3501. Feel free to contact if any questions. This is from Brenda Henderson, the office manager at Stafford Family Services.
So these are just transfers within a budget for that department. It's pretty common. Can I get a motion to accept the transfers?
I'll make a motion to accept the transfer.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Information. Is this my number here? So, today, John attended, Dennis. The town of Stafford was recognized and received the 2017 CROG Regional Sustainability Award for its exemplary energy project work, its long-range vision for a greener future, and its leadership in promoting community and regional sustainability. So this came across my desk a few months back, and I thought that the solar projects and the work that we've done over the last few years was ideal to be recognized. Some people know about it within other towns because we've discussed it at length. They've heard some things about it. A lot of people don't. So finally, Stafford was recognized for the amazing work that's been accomplished over the last couple of years. And there was the annual meeting, they were presented this award. So I put it up, we put up today, Beth, on the website and an email to make sure everybody understands it. This coincides with the work that the Girl Scouts did as a presentation a couple of months ago that we also have up there. So if anybody in town has any questions, which they still do, regarding, hey, what's that thing out there? What's on all the roofs? What are we saving? What are we getting for this money that we spent over the last couple of years? Finally, we've been recognized for how amazing the small town Stafford is regarding greener footprint. And I think, Dennis, we're one of maybe 2 or 3 towns in the country that have solar projects to this great degree. Yes?
Yeah, we're pretty close to zero. We're pretty much making what we're consuming for the year.
So, in fact, I just got the information from another organization we're a member of, CCM, another awards for a similar sustainability type of thing, and we'll be putting our name in for that because we can't say enough for really what's been done here. And we need to make sure people understand what it is. We do get calls all the time. Hey, I heard about what you've done there. You're a very small town. How did you do it to that great degree? Where there's problems along the way. Did it all go smooth? Well, we have all those backstories to tell people. It wasn't all smooth, I will tell you that. And we worked through it, but it's a tremendous thing, and Stafford should be extremely proud of what we've done regarding energy and solar. So I wanted to make sure everybody here heard it. And again, there's more information on the website, all about what we have across the whole town. Numerous buildings, fire departments, schools, library, carports, middle school, transfer station. We have it everywhere. And we've got a couple of solar, electric vehicles as well. Anything else information? Fire truck. So tonight, the Stafford Fire Department came down with their truck that was approved last year. It took 8 or 9 months for it to be built. They got it from Pennsylvania. They went down to get it 2 weeks ago. And it's now here. That was a long time coming. It's for use in a lot of emergency situations. Closed spaces. Specifically, now they have information to talk about the concrete. Should there ever be an unfortunate incident where the house falls down, they have this emergency equipment now that would handle that situation. Confined space that 3M's run into before. They have emergency equipment on this particular truck. And it's got an additional 1,000-gallon tank, so it's kind of a dual-use truck. And they really worked hard to get the price down as much as possible. Again, it was approved by us, and then went to town meeting, and then approved by the Board of Finance. And so now you'll see it. Hopefully we won't need it too often, but you will be able to see it. And believe me when I tell you, they'll come and show anybody anytime. It's going to be up by TTM at Stafford Firehouse. So Dave Lucia is the chief, and he would welcome anybody to come visit, get a walkthrough, show you all about it. So we're very excited about that. Public comment. Anyone? Anything? Yes.
I was searching for the results for the referendum
Yeah.
on the town website. It was a couple days after the voting, and I did not see it. Did it get actually put on the
Oh, yeah.
website?
Sure
It
did.
was.
It was there
When did it go on?
next day, that day, or the next
I
day?
did my minutes that evening and put them up
I saw it.
that morning at 8:01 under
Yeah.
town meeting minutes. And
Yeah.
then we got really busy with job registration, so we didn't send a big email part.
We put it on the
out.
website with email
The
blast.
next
I
day.
did subsequently.
Okay, because I looked and
I thought we
I did
It
not
wasn't on
see
the,
it.
when was it on the front page? Because I saw it on the front page.
I don't
but
know,
don't
as soon
remember
as
when
we
I looked
could.
at
It was there by next day, I want to say.
Well, I either checked the next day or Friday, and I did not see it on either one of those days.
Okay.
And also, I didn't see when the first referendum was not passed. I didn't see the results of that either. I heard it by talking with someone, so maybe I was looking in the wrong place, but I
Okay.
checked under towns and meetings, et cetera, and
Sure.
I didn't see it, so I was just
Okay.
inquiring.
I'll check with him to see if we did a search. I want to make sure that we have all the words that it would go to: vote, budget, referendum, all those things would lead us to that same thing, so you don't have to search
Because I
too
just
hard.
didn't see the results. I knew there was
Okay.
the voting and everything, but I did
Yep.
not see the results, so I was
Okay.
questioning that.
We'll double check to make sure, because we want that website to be as easy as possible for anybody to use at any time. That's why we put the search tool especially, but we'll double check.
Okay,
We'll make
thank
sure.
you.
I appreciate the feedback. Anybody?
Yeah, I was hoping that I could get your opinion on something and possibly your help. As you know, we were advocating very hard to have an agricultural commission so that farmers could have a unified voice and get, really good regulations passed, that were acceptable for everyone. The very first meeting, and you guys did a good job as far as like finding diversity among the members, and I appreciate the work that you did to do that. I'm sure just picking blindly was probably very difficult. The very first meeting we had, it was here, and it was really good. We all talked, we all shared. It was really, there was a lot of energy in the room. The very second meeting, unfortunately, it kind of just, it tanked, unfortunately. One of the very first things that were brought to a motion is that no one was allowed to talk. Nobody in the audience was allowed to talk. In fact, if we have something to say, we have to email it. As you can imagine, neither my husband or myself were very happy with that outcome. And we did give short, but we came up with arguments, we talked about them, and they were definitely discussed at the meeting. My biggest argument was the whole foundation of the problem was that people weren't listened to, that their voices weren't heard, and that we were just perpetuating that problem and increasing bureaucracy where there need not be any. And he agreed with me, okay?
I'm sorry, who's he?
Chairman Mordasky.
Okay.
Agreed with me that it was unnecessary bureaucracy. But he said in the name of democracy, we're going to do it this way, which makes no sense, really. Anyhow, my husband said, we have here things that we prepared to talk to you about today, right? And he said, well, we can't do it because we did not email it. Nonetheless, that's the first thing that I need your opinion on, and because I guess I'm going to read a couple of Chris's thoughts about exactly what channeling information does. It leaves huge room. First of all, on my part, it takes a long time to put something in writing and to send it to somebody. Especially if you have to put notation and background information, it takes a long time. There's a lot of room for misinterpretation when someone's reading something. There's a lot of room for misrepresentation when they're sharing the ideas to other people. There's unintentional value assessment placed on the information that you're giving them, meaning they might not know if it's important information or not, just because they're not aware enough of a certain situation. And I guess he was comparing it to the game of telephone and how it really just doesn't work. That's how misunderstandings happen. I don't know. When I text people, I misunderstand everything. I misunderstand the tone because it's so hard to interpret. Nonetheless, so I really think that written communication is just a terrible idea. Maybe accessory, but not as the only way. The second thing that I have a really strong problem with is that Chairman Mordasky has suggested that his daughter be the minute taker and the note taker. And for me it was kind of a red flag because Chairman Mordasky and I have very different views about, just life, really. But most importantly, we just felt like it was a big conflict of interest, and so the red flag was raised. We're like, all right, well, we'll just roll with it, see what happens. And the very first minutes that are put out, well, frankly, I kind of find them fraudulent, and I've told him as much, and he said that as long as I don't have a statute that proves that she can't be it, she's going to stay in that position. I can tell you that as far as fraudulent goes, that the agenda was not followed, and it was a special meeting, and according to the Freedom of Information Act, it has to be followed. She did not include any of our comments regarding not having public input. So that was completely struck. I just feel like there's a huge conflict of interest to have a family member reporting the minutes, especially when clearly it was doctored.
Okay, so let's address it, I guess, one thing at a time. So, you're saying they don't have public comment as part of the meeting. My guess is, I'm not quite sure why, it's gonna add to the time that maybe it's gonna take the 7 actual members to discuss things. I get the feedback, because the good news, I guess, for us is we don't get a lot of people that give us much feedback, but there could be nights, we could have 25 people here, and I understand that kind of trying to control it so your commission or committee does the work that they're supposed to do. That I understand. Should it be a little more flexible? I certainly think it could be. I've known David for a while, and I think he certainly would welcome people to be able to talk. So she doesn't, though, as part of those minutes, like Beth doesn't. She doesn't put public comment minutes in our meeting.
She put some comments. She did put some comments, just not ours.
So, but there was public comment allowed, yes?
Right, because it was the discussion prior to making the motion, people can't speak.
But then again, there's 7 members who they voted on it, because we didn't dictate rules to this commission. That's not our job. We said, we'll pick the members, and then you guys kind of decide your own fate and how you run your meetings. So we can't and have no right to step in to tell them, by the way, you ought to be running your meetings like this, just like the EDC or anybody else. That's a duly appointed commission And we don't have a right to tell them, hey, by the way, I think you ought to be asking these questions, you ought to run it like this. So I'm a little concerned that you want us to step in.
No, I wanted your opinion,
Right.
and I do want some help, because the fact of the matter is that they were selected by a non-farming community. So that means they were kind of just randomly selected.
Well, unfortunately, you have to start with what we decided
Right.
to choose. I'm sorry.
Right.
It hasn't quite worked, but my understanding, at least if I recall, Johnny, if you recall those applications, all these people have pretty vast agricultural and farming backgrounds,
Right.
except for the one person, right? That's the only thing I do remember.
Yeah,
is-
we put one person on that had no farming
Right.
background.
Other than that, the rest do have an involvement with agricultural and farming, which is what made sense for us to be able to choose them. Now, I don't know if there were more candidates we didn't choose that they felt slighted or something like that. But again, that's why we have 2-year terms and 1-year terms, so you can have a turnover to change members if it's not quite working.
And the diversity really was, we picked someone with very strong education in it, we picked someone who has newer farming techniques, we picked someone who's just been a farmer, an old-time farmer for a long time, and we also picked a young person to participate on it as well. So we tried to make sure everybody had some input, but everybody had vast resumes that we put on there that had the farming experience. And I'll make the suggestion, Stacy, is the only thing that I can think of, it doesn't mean it's necessarily true, is that maybe, as Tony said, that it's taking up too much time. So my suggestion would be talk to Dave or whomever and say,
I
well,
have.
so why don't we, at least give me 5 minutes. And if you can just say 5 minutes, then at least give me that.
Yeah,
And then maybe he'll do that if it's not going to take
Right.
too much time.
I mean, setting a time limit for public comment, it makes sense,
Yeah, I
because
think it's
you
fair.
don't want it to encompass your whole meeting. I don't know, maybe,
And we don't even know.
and I'm with Tony, I hate to have us step in here,
Yeah.
because this is not, the whole point of this was not for us to be involved
Yeah.
in push any which way. I mean, whether it's to the right or to the left, we wanted the farmers to decide what they wanted to do, but maybe we get Dave to come to a meeting and we just kind of talk through what the issues are and see if we can come to some sort of an agreement where, you know.
Yeah, we can certainly discuss.
I don't know about the note taking. Why would that be a conflict, though? I mean,
Oh.
I know his daughter, and I understand.
Yeah, no, I mean-
she eliminated your comments.
It's not just
and-
that, it actually was,
But-
the motion should have never passed. In a special meeting, you can't add anything to an agenda, and so instead of putting and I understand making mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, but what I don't like is when people try to cover it up. What they did is they tried to push the motion into other areas of the agenda where it never existed.
So, all right, let's take the overall of this person who's volunteered maybe to take notes. Did anybody else, is there anybody else who volunteered to take notes?
I will volunteer to take notes.
Okay,
I
so-
do not think a family member should take notes.
I don't,
I think the makeup of the committee is they have a secretary, and I believe that's who's filing the minutes. If somebody else is taking the notes for her and she's transcribing them
right.
and filing them,
I mean, they do, and
Did we
then,
assign a secretary?
I
Who was it?
believe so.
Yeah, we have a secretary, her name is Deb, and she's a very nice woman. However, she did say that at our last meeting, I guess she has a hearing issue, and we were in that room, and she said she couldn't hear anything.
It's also not easy to take minutes and also be part of the board.
Absolutely, I
So I
understand.
understand somebody else taking them for her
Sure,
and then her filing them
Right.
as the secretary.
I'm cool with that.
so yeah, two things I would offer. One is, what's happened before in planning and zoning is they audio record everything that goes on, and then physically transcribe the notes. Then you're not missing a thing. It's all part of the record. That's why, luckily, as you see, we got the new camera to videotape meetings. We can have it available for that meeting as well. John's Citizens Advisory Group as well. That's the whole purpose, because we want to be able to send it out to everybody so everybody's involved to be able to be heard. And we certainly understand if there's a chairperson or even members of boards and commissions that maybe need to, or we want to talk to, say, hey, by the way, we've heard maybe you're not open to this, or maybe you're deciding, it seems there's a sense you're deciding it this way, and, we can, in a friendly manner, ask to talk to them about it, but again, I would be very hesitant to dictate to anybody in another commission or board that's either duly elected or appointed sorry, we put you on there because we thought this, and now you're not doing this, so now we're not happy with that.
Well, there does have to be some sort of ethical code. I know I keep on seeing that there's like an ethics standard, and I don't know where to look that up.
But to what level are you talking about now?
Well, I do think
Again,
doctoring, the minutes, like
What
literally,
would be the Sorry, what would be the purpose for her to doctor the minutes?
because it's illegal to add an agenda item to a special meeting.
Here's the only good news I will say. Remember, it's advisory. Regardless if they come up with
It's
the
all we
greatest
have, though.
idea in farming and agriculture, it still only is advisory committee to planning and zoning. So if they doctor it, don't doctor it, make it up, write it out, the planning and zoning group listens to them, in essence, and they can say, terrific work.
So you're telling me the falsification of documentation is okay as long as it's advisory?
I'm just
No,
saying,
it's not said
ultimately,
that.
I don't think that somebody would go to that extreme.
I do. I
Um,
see it,
Well, how many meetings have you had?
too.
Two. See, now,
I've already-
there are only
but
two
there's-
in it. You had one good one, right, and one bad one.
Well, there's absolutely no hope at this point. I really have, I've emailed him and he said, as long as you don't have any legal reason that my daughter can't do this, she's gonna do it. And to me, that's like, I'm gonna check out. I've already talked to people in the audience, no one wants to come back. It's like, dude, what, I cannot believe
I
someone
don't know
would,
where we go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Under Robert's Rules of Order, the only thing that should be recorded is the action of the board or the committee, not the public.
It's true.
The public is not.
Technically,
on the
that's
board.
true. The comments from anybody out here aren't recorded as part of the minutes of the meeting. So,
I mean, there's only been two meetings, right? I know you've given up hope, but you had one bad meeting. I think you have to, you're still evolving, right? You just started this commission, and you're gonna hit bumps and valleys. And
right, and you certainly
do any of
do.
the other commission members have the same concerns?
the audience has the same concern.
The who?
What's that?
No,
The audience has the same concern?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I'm just.
I haven't heard anything from, number one, commission members, or alternates for that matter. I haven't heard any negative feedback back to us. So that'd be the first step, I would think. If there's commission members that we sat and that have an issue, absolutely. Those folks, with all due respect, have the ability to be able to come to us and say, listen, you guys put this together, but it's kind of not working like maybe you envisioned, and then we'll talk about it. If somebody, an audience member, and they certainly can have their own opinion, feels, this, I don't like what the Planning and Zoning Commission has done, and we've heard this over the last few months. Again, they're duly elected officials who we've clearly described before that we don't control or cannot tell what to do, but we've had at least discussions to say, listen, maybe we ought to open up a little bit more discussion, have a little more leeway, something like that. They can only take our advice and listen if they want to. Similarly, as an audience member, you get to tell this commission, even though they're advisory, hey, listen, I don't think this is the way things are going. And they're the folks, in essence, that can say, well, I appreciate your opinion, but that's it.
So in the meantime, I would definitely go with asking for at least a limited time for public comment. I don't see why they wouldn't.
It can
If
can
you-
extend the meeting to a great deal, believe me. You guys are very passionate, we know that, we've learned this over the last few months. So that I understand, at least for a context for a decent amount of time for a meeting to go, a couple of hours. So I understand that, and David's a very reasonable guy that I've seen. I don't know him well, but I know that he's a reasonable person. And the other members are, to my knowledge as well, I don't know them
no, they're all very
much.
nice. They're all
Right,
very
so
nice.
as a group, I think that's the first order of business that they ought to discuss. Hey, how were the meetings going? I certainly would attend one to find out myself. How does it flow? How does it work? Is it working? And then look for feedback back from that group and other people that attend and say, hey, I just want to give you a little heads up how this works.
I just had just a quick thing. Some of these commissions, well, these new committees, they're maybe not as familiar with Robert's Rules, so maybe a copy of Robert's Rules would be
Yeah.
given to them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that would help.
Well, I think your wife is very familiar with
Yeah,
them.
I mean, those are
No,
very
but-
interpretive.
Yeah,
They are very difficult to interpret, and I haven't been, so I really don't wanna
No, that's a great
interject
idea.
into it.
I
But some of
guess
these
yeah.
people that, they're like lay people, like even I work And yeah, and I don't know, so I don't wanna,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it's hard to follow Robert's rules.
maybe we need to
and-
get the other side of the story too, you know,
Well, why don't we let her try talking to them about the minutes
well,
first?
I think
and
she's
then-
given up hope.
And then see, and
There's
if
really
that
no
does it,
point.
then she can come back to us and let us know
Have
how,
you,
let us know how
have you
that
given
turns
up
out.
hope at this point?
I have no desire to give my information to someone who is not going to do anything with it. I don't see any point in me taking the time to do that. I feel like right now it's about playing games.
I think our only
Yeah.
avenue is to actually talk to to the committee and say,
Yeah.
okay, where are we going, you know?
Okay.
I hate to stick our nose in it, because I
No, I
don't
understand,
think
right.
it belongs there,
It's
but
true.
maybe we just need to get their side and find out, you know, what is your thought
Right.
process? Why are you, you know, including this and not including that? I mean, I think that's the best we can do.
It will. And as a matter of fact, I'll reach out to that committee. I will say though, regarding communication, either email or other, email, first of all, it is on paper, it may be interpreted, but once they meet, they're gonna discuss what they had sent in advance. And I think he's trying to, timing-wise, consolidate the meeting so there is a lot of hard work condensed in 2 hours, instead of all of a sudden, you start the process and just the discussion starts that evening and then it could go on. I think they want advance notice to say, here's some topics or things we might want to address. So I think in that respect, I think the idea for emailing prior is a pretty good idea.
Theoretically.
Well, I mean, that's what,
They do that in planning and zoning all the time. They tell people to email
right,
in their comments, then it
Sure.
can be part of the meeting.
right, and then they discuss it. So even though it's potentially just interpreted, it's going to be discussed and that person could be in attendance saying, hey, by the way, here's what it really meant. Oh, we read it differently.
But we're not allowed to say that.
Okay.
You know, I think you really need to try and have I know you've got a bad experience coming out of the last meeting, but it's only 2 meetings, right?
I'll keep
One
on,
really good
I'll
meeting,
keep on
one.
going. I won't give you that.
Go and
But just because
try to be
I have to-
open-minded. Yeah, okay, I get it that you're frustrated, okay, and maybe duly so. We haven't heard the other side of the story, so I don't, you know, you've brought your case. We need to find out from Dave and his daughter, or whoever, or the other committee members, you know,
Yeah,
where are we going wrong?
Right.
But again, 2 meetings, you're just evolving, maybe you need to go forward with a couple more meetings. If it really goes bad again, then
Well,
maybe
yeah,
we gotta do something. I
And
don't
maybe
know. I don't know what we can do. We've appointed them and we cannot, unless they miss 4 consecutive
No, we
meetings.
can't remove
they're
them, we
there.
can't, you know, unless they commit a felony or something. you know.
Right.
Can each committee make up their own rules? As in,
Kind of.
I don't want, we're not having public
They
comment at
certainly,
all.
they can't.
See, and that's.
Oh,
We
Chair
like to
says that.
say
The
that we
chair
like
does
the public
that.
comment for all meetings, but technically they can't.
Right.
Some even have a budget, and they can't.
And because they're advisory, I think there's different rules, right? Advisory tends to have.
It's
a
pretty
little bit-
loose, they kind of.
Which is why we made citizens advisory, so it could be a lot
That's
more
right,
open, right?
it's a lot more open, I mean, that's how the idea is, but again, we're not running that group. And the other members, I'd be interested to hear what the other 6 members,
Or even other audience
or
members,
the other people that attend.
put their point of view.
So- You know, I'll reach out to that committee and see if we get some feedback, communication, find out, and tell them, hey, we've heard some, about some issues, like, can you tell me how the meetings have gone, what's your opinion of how things have gone? I mean, I'll go to each one of those folks and see how it goes. But again, 2 meetings, so they're batting 500, because the first one was good, number 2 is bad, and I'm like, okay, so they're still getting their feet wet.
I
to
would think
figure
there's
out
still hope.
How to get it
Maybe
done.
There's still hope. I don't know.
That's
I mean,
what I'll do.
Can the 3 of us meet with committee members without having an official meeting? No. We have
No, we have to
So it can't be like,
have our meeting.
let's
and
go to the coffee
What
shop.
I will do,
Talk out the.
what I will do then is I'll reach out to the members,
Okay.
and I'll get a correspondence, and then I'll relay to you guys, and then we'll discuss.
Is that
And then
fair enough?
We'll go from there.
Well,
And see what we can-
I don't think, I mean, they all voted for everyone to be quiet, so I mean, I guess, I don't really think I'm
Well,
gonna get
so then
anywhere
would you-
here.
They could vote to change that.
And they can,
Like I said,
they can make it
talk to
another
them.
motion
Oh,
for
no.
the next meeting, hey, let's limit it to 2 minutes.
Okay.
That happens, we do that even in a town meeting, because really it starts to really go pretty long after a while. So I get that piece. Unfortunately, it's not, the whole night to be able to to have these things, and they want to get something done. This is.
Well, you know, I'm sorry, but Mr. Mordasky talks a lot during the meeting, and he hasn't even read the regulations. So the fact that we're not allowed to talk and to have to listen to that does not make any sense
I'm sorry, he's on
whatsoever.
the commission.
Yeah,
He's
he's
the
the
chairperson.
chairperson.
So unfortunately, he's probably gonna talk the most. Like, I
Yeah.
wish I didn't talk as much as I do, but I seem to talk the most. 'Cause
We all feel that way.
very nice. That's outside his
I can't get an word in edgewise.
But we're gonna follow up absolutely. I will communicate with the members, and even have them in my office, talk to them as well, feed it back to you guys, and then see, hey, this is a brand new thing, can we open it up a little? What's the reasoning behind it maybe
It's
being
control
more
of
defined?
information. I mean,
See,
I know you don't
It seems
think
a little
so.
conspiratorial in most of the things you're saying. The girl who's keeping the minutes is, for some reason, putting fraudulent information.
Why would
for
she
what-
change what
I
happened?
don't quite understand
I don't
the
either.
onus for her to do that. What's it
Because
gonna?
it makes her dad look bad and it wouldn't be passed because it would be illegal. You know, I mean, I know I don't want to go overboard, but at the same time, I cannot pretend that things don't exist.
So yeah, so some discussions during the meetings have taken place that would, I guess, make the chairperson look bad, but his daughter hasn't put those in the minutes because it would reflect badly on her father?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what else to say to that.
Unless it was a motion or a vote, there really doesn't need to be there.
So, and I'm okay with the commentary being struck. I just, like I said, they actually rewrote history. I mean, the motions were not made in any of the other agenda items, and that's what the minutes say.
Well, here's what I would suggest, if you would, to have patience enough to give a little more time, is I hope we have the camera available for those meetings, number one. Number two, if not, record the meetings for us. We'll get the minutes, and then at that point, I'll follow up and say, hey, listen, what we hear recorded don't reflect in the minutes. You're either missing, or there's holes, or something else, and then we'll have the actual proof.
I would love videotape.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
We'll go that
Absolutely.
route, absolutely.
If someone can help me figure out what to do,
Sure.
I will do it.
No problem at all. That's easy to do.
That's
Yeah.
a good start.
Oh, absolutely. We can have the cameras available if you're gonna be responsible and you wanna do it. Absolutely, we'll let you do it.
Okay?
Good?
Yeah.
Start with that and then we'll go
Go
from there.
forward from there.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Old business?
Thank you.
I'm just gonna give board members copies of this. These are just some of the suggestions that came into our
Oh.
suggestion box.
Cool.
They're on the website for the Citizens Advisory. We're gonna send a mass email out. I'm gonna have Eric send an email out with this attachment.
Okay.
Just asking people how they would go about, kind of getting people involved by saying, hey, kind of a reverse thing. Hey, how would you go about getting this done?
Okay.
You know?
Good.
And, review these, maybe we can talk about a few of them next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
But I wanted to share what did come out of that meeting.
Well, I got the swap thing ASAP. I'll take care of that.
And the fitness trail, potentially,
Yeah,
right?
I hope the fitness trail, yeah, but
Put a grant.
Well, some of this stuff is already being worked on.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, but,
I'm on board with that idea.
Okay.
Thanks, John. You guys
So-
doing a good job with that thing.
but we'll
Okay.
we have a meeting next week and we'll get more ideas. Cool.
New business? Got anything?
What about that thing we talked to Alvin about today?
The regulation, the new laws, I gotta get clarity to make sure, it's a little unclear. But I'll get it to you guys as soon as I have the definitions, when I sit down with Dennis for more than 5 minutes. Motion to adjourn, if there's nothing else?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you everyone for coming.
Stacy,
Thank you, Bethany.
you were able to,
I haven't heard
You
that
like
now.
how- I said I just
don't know
used you.
something else.
Probably
you
should
know
have
what,
mentioned.
I just found out,
Hamilton.
I know, I'm so sorry.
That was
That's right, that was
information. I
on
just happened to think about
This
that.
thing I just printed.
Oh, no, yeah, you might.
Rewind.
And it comes out with more pages than PDF, same exact one. So I don't have to duplicate the one. I did it
Yeah, do it.
I wanna see the search.
Yeah, maybe they weren't on the front page originally.
Maybe the search.
I know, I saw.